Are hypersonic missiles impossible to defend against? They travel at over a mile a second, can change direction on a dime, and some say they've made our modern defense systems totally obsolete. Hypersonic missiles are the new face of warfare, a supposedly unstoppable weapon that threatens to upend the entire global balance of power. For a little context, Mach 5 is over 3,800 miles per hour. That's fast enough to get from New York to Los Angeles in under 45 minutes. But what if they could be stopped? A quiet, high-stakes arms race is already underway to do just that. And the tech being developed to catch the uncatchable feels like it has been ripped from a science fiction movie. The question is no longer just about who has the fastest missile, but who can build the shield. Section 1. The unbeatable weapon. Russia claims it's used its Kinzhal missile in Ukraine and is working on the ship-launched Zircon. China has shown off its DF-17, a system built to carry a hypersonic glide vehicle. And the United States is pouring billions into its own programs, like the Air Force's Hypersonic Attack Cruise Missile and the Army's Dark Eagle. So, to understand the panic inside the Pentagon and other defense ministries, you first have to get what makes these weapons so different. Because a weapon that can hit a high-value target, like an aircraft carrier or a command center, from hundreds of miles away with almost no warning, could rewrite the rules of war overnight. Sure, it reaches hypersonic speeds, but it doesn't have the wild maneuverability of the more advanced hypersonic glide vehicles that China and the U.S. are developing. After its rocket motor burns out, the Kinzhal is just coasting, losing speed and becoming easier to hit as it falls. So, while this proves that hypersonic doesn't mean invincible, it doesn't solve the problem of these truly next-gen maneuvering threats. This race is being fought on two main fronts, up in space and with a whole new breed of interceptors. It's a weapon some are afraid could make entire defense strategies obsolete. You can't hit what you can't see. Our traditional ground-based radars have a huge flaw. The Earth is round. Forget about a few giant, expensive satellites. This is a massive layered network of hundreds of smaller, cheaper satellites in low Earth orbit. This is the Pentagon's main project for a counter-hypersonic defense. Defense planners are thinking in terms of a layered defense. These are high-powered lasers or microwave systems that could, in theory, zap a missile out of the sky at the speed of light. What do you think is the future of hypersonic warfare? Will the shield ever truly catch up to the sword? Let us know what you think down in the comments. The answer is a clear no. Are they difficult to stop? Absolutely. A game-changing threat that's reshaping military strategy? Without a doubt. But they are not impossible to defeat. And if you're fascinated by the tech that will define the future of security, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what we're re-breaking down next. They're still mostly in the R&D phase, but they represent the ultimate ambition in missile defense. The GPI might be the first shot, but if it misses, other systems would get their chance. This includes upgraded versions of weapons we already have, like the Navy's SM-6 missile and the Army's Patriot, which could take on the weapon in its final terminal phase as it's slowing down. For every new defense, an adversary will work on a new way to beat it. That's just how arms races work. But having a viable defense completely changes the strategic math. It puts doubt in an attacker's mind. It makes any attack more expensive and complicated, which strengthens deterrence and, hopefully, pulls the world back from a brink where one nation thinks it has a weapon that can't be answered. Spearheaded by the Missile Defense Agency with help from Japan, the GPI is a missile designed to be fired from Navy destroyers. The plan is to hit a hypersonic weapon during its most vulnerable, stage the glide phase where it's just coasting through the upper atmosphere. After a competition, Northrop Grumman got the contract to build this revolutionary interceptor. But the program has run into funding issues and delays, which just shows how incredibly hard this is. The timeline for getting the first ones working is now pushed to the mid-2030s. The real story isn't about an invincible weapon. It's about the frantic, high-stakes race between that weapon and the shield designed to stop it. Developing a credible defense, from satellites in space to next-gen interceptors, is now one of the highest priorities for the U.S. and its allies. Part of this is a tracking layer designed specifically to keep a constant, global eye on advanced missile threats, including hypersonics. This web of sensors will act like a planetary-scale tripwire, tracking these missiles from the moment they launch and taking away their ability to hide. The goal is to have this system ready for action by the end of 2025. A hypersonic missile flying low and fast can stay hidden below the radar horizon for most of its journey, giving defenders just minutes or maybe even seconds to react. But they're much, much slower, which makes them vulnerable to our classic air defenses. Ukraine claimed it shot down a Russian Kinzhal hypersonic missile using a U.S.-made Patriot defense system. This was huge, and this is where the second front of the defensive race is heating up. Hitting a target that's thus moving at a mile per second and making unpredictable turns requires a completely new kind of weapon. The unstoppable weapon had, apparently, been stopped. Since then, Ukrainian forces say they've intercepted even more Kinzhals, though actually hitting them is still a major challenge. For decades, the world as superpowers have built their defenses around two predictable threats: ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. They fly faster than Mach 5, that S over a mile every single second, but they do it inside the upper atmosphere. This unique flight path is a total nightmare for defenders. They're too low and shifty for ballistic missile defenses, and way too fast for most conventional air defense systems. Flying at Mach 5 creates an incredible amount of friction and heat, pushing surface temperatures up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The sensitive electronics and guidance systems tucked inside have to somehow survive that inferno to work properly. Any loss of control, or even a slight drop in speed from atmospheric drag, can create a tiny window of opportunity for an interceptor. It's a massive engineering challenge, and it's a safe bet that not every country's system is going to master it. It's like trying to hit a bolt of lightning that can change its mind mid-flight. Think of it like a cannonball fired over a massive distance. Our defense systems, as complex as they are designed to track that specific arc and take out the warhead. Ballistic missiles are incredibly fast. They launch up into space and come screaming back down on a high, predictable arc. Cruise missiles are the opposite. They're basically small, pilotless jets. They fly low and can maneuver. Hypersonic weapons are the terrifying hybrid of both. They take the blistering speed of a ballistic missile and combine it with the low altitude, unpredictable flight of a cruise missile. This has kicked off a new, high-stakes arms race. So why the frenzy? Section 2. Cracks in the armor. But is the hype real? Are these weapons actually invincible? Well, the answer is a lot more complicated. In May of 2023, something pretty remarkable happened over Kyiv. Now, it's not that simple. Military analysts are quick to point out that the Kinzhal is technically an air-launched ballistic missile. And besides that, these missiles face their own brutal physics problems. Section 3. The secret arms race for a defense. The idea that hypersonic missiles were invincible has sparked a shadow arms race, a frantic, multi-billion-dollar push to build a defense. First, you have the sensor problem. The solution? Go to space. The U.S. Space Development Agency, or SDA, is building what it calls the Proliferated Warfighter Space Architecture. Of course, once you can track the missile, you still have to hit it. That's where the Glide Phase Interceptor, or GPI, comes in. The strategy isn't to bet everything on one silver bullet, though. And looking even further ahead, there are more futuristic ideas being explored, like directed energy weapons. This new battlefield is evolving faster than ever, with the offense and defense locked in a cycle of non-stop innovation. A new era of deterrence. So, Back to our original question. Are hypersonic missiles impossible to defend against? The story of the unstoppable superweapon has already been complicated by what's happened on the battlefield in Ukraine and the massive effort to build a defense. This doesn't mean the threat just goes away. The race for hypersonic supremacy is on, and the winner won't just control the battlefield. They'll shape the future of global power.